In this Qing Dynasty map, my opponent as the second player had a very good territory set up, so with it being very hard to guess his army's placement, I decided to put my army in the territory which wouldn't be accessible to my opponent either, assuming zombie spawn doesn't immediately mess it up. And they didn't, so while I didn't have the access to my opponent, I wasn't accessible from my opponent either. My opponent in the second turn unleashed his army towards me, so I went to crush it, getting the attacker's advantage of even 7 troops. And then I decided to capture the top left continent, which was probably a mistake, as one thing, my opponent had a 73% chance to invade it and he successfully did, and in that case he was even very favored by the attacker's advantage of losing no troops. But another probably more important thing is that zombies recaptured a lot of my territories, so that would have been definitely better for me if I instead had kept my troops to one big army. So that led me of becoming quite weaker than I should have actually been if I had played properly. Right here my opponent tried to manual roll my army, but luckily he didn't get good manual rolls. Then right here I captured and intended to hold that continent. And I would have held it if my opponent trading an A set hadn't spawned +2 troops to that zombie's territory over here. So then with the zombies' turn coming, that zombies' army was increased by 1 troop, and that was enough to have double amount of troops for them to attack me into my continent, as the zombies only attack if they have double amount of troops, and it was 6 versus 3 attack. So that led me of losing a good amount of troops. Then right here it was a mistake for me to attack the 4 troop zombie army when I could have just attacked a 1 or 2 troop zombie territory with my other army. Then my opponent, probably seeing my location from the cards, came to my top right army and getting a good attacker's advantage wiped it out. So I just ended up having only 1 spot. I traded in my set hoping to blitz and eliminate my opponent, but he hid well, and I couldn't find him, so I just fortified my army back. But my opponent trading an A set came from his hiding spot out, and successfully won the 12 versus 10 blitz roll, winning the game.